each person up here will be addressing a specific type of advertising. Now, just because they talk about one type of advertising doesn't mean that's all they offer. Most people up here offer a range of different options, many of which will be talked about. So just because they talk about it doesn't mean you can only talk to them about that one thing. Please, we encourage you to reach out to them all afterwards about all the range of options available and see what fits best for you. Know that they all have options available for you. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. We do have a live audience here. We have people joining us online. So at the end, once they each do their section, we will take questions both here and from the online audience. If you are joining us online, please type your question into the Q&A, and we will get to those questions through our moderator. And here in the audience, we will come around and ask any of your questions as well, live as they come up. So one last thing, don't worry, there are notepads here for those here, but don't be real worried if you don't catch names or email addresses or things like that. We're going to send out an email for everybody with all their contact information, make it easy for you to reach out and get any questions you have answered. So my real hope is you sit back, take it all in, and realize you can reach out to them afterwards. We'll make that easy for you. With that, I'd like to thank our panel and introduce them. We have Tim Fagan with iHeart Media, who will discuss audio advertising options, radio and podcasting. Aaron Harmon with Townsquare Media, who will discuss digital advertising. Kelly Egan from Fox 17, who's going to talk about TV advertising. And Diane Knapp from Wood TV8, who will discuss lifestyle shows and OTT. That's video advertising online. So with that, I will start right here at the end with Tim.
Great. Thanks so much. I think I speak for everyone, and we're really pleased to be here with the Better Business Bureau. And hopefully you'll walk away with some information that you can apply to your marketing plans. As we mentioned, I'm with iHeart Media. What we're talking about as far as multi-platform and audio devices, I think this applies to everyone when you think about your marketing plans, which we call the marketing full strategy funnel. And at the top of that funnel always is awareness, and it's introducing your brand to be top of mind with consumers so that they think of you first, which really leads into intent, which is highlighting your product's attributions and your differentiations. Then we get into consideration with the consumer, where they end up with product-specific messaging, really a strong call to action. And then at the end of the day, we want to convert or make the sale. And that can happen online, in person, in a number of different ways. But that pattern happens in all marketing. So I think this will apply to everyone across the board as we go through this. So just a brief overview on iHeart, a little bit of scale of who we are. We reach, you have to reach people to do any type of marketing. We reach 9 out of 10 consumers in the United States. We have a couple smaller companies behind us in that, one of which is a company called YouTube, another called Meta or Facebook. Never heard of them before, but iHeart actually reaches more consumers than anyone else in the country, and that's partially due because we have 850 radio stations and 104 marketplaces, and people still end up with 90% almost who listen to broadcast radio on any given week. So that's good to keep in mind. But again, it all starts with the consumer, and obviously their patterns have changed over time. I know my patterns of consuming media has changed over time, and where they spend their time and who influences these consumers has radically changed. Really, I think post-COVID, we've seen a big influx of change. And some of the things that keep in mind is, here is today's pattern of time spent with consumer share. So audio is an important part of consumers' life, and we call it audio. It's not radio. It's podcasting, it's streaming, and radio. And that makes up 31% of a consumer's time. We'll be hearing about digital TV, that's 39%. Everyone used to get the newspaper, 6%. Mine hasn't showed up recently. And then linear TV, traditional broadcast TV, is 24%. So as we look at that large section of audio, 86% of that is made up of 2 big segments, one of which is broadcast radio, which is 67% of audio consumed, and then podcasting, which is growing at a rapid 30+% rate, now makes up 19% of that audio portion for consumers, and then 14% of audio is digital streaming, Spotify, Pandora, and other streaming services. So that 86%, which we're really going to talk about today, is the main focus of this conversation. So iHeart extends a consumer relationship and impacts across multi-platforms. To give you an idea of the scope and scale, we're the #1 publisher, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the United States. In fact, you get larger than the second and third publisher combined. In the digital audio space, we're ending up to be 5 times larger than the #2 digital audio service. And then we have a social imprint with that, with those audio spaces that end up reaching 333 million people, and it's an extension of our audio. So what does it really mean to be a publisher? I don't care where you get your podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon. As the publisher, iHeart owns the inventory. So the pre-roll, the mid-roll, and the post-roll is what we control. So if you're listening to Malcolm Gladwell podcast, or Stuff You Should Know podcast, or the Paris Hilton podcast, or any of those podcasts, we're the publisher and we control the inventory within that. On a national basis, on a local basis, on a geography basis, we can target that wherever you prefer, because we end up sending it through Spotify, through Apple, through and of course, our favorite, the iHeart Radio Music app. But we'll take it on anybody's app. So what does that say? There are more podcast listeners than ever before. We touched on that. We're ending up today with 135 million podcast listeners. It's about 1 in 2 of every America listens, and they are rabid fans of podcasts. All the listening adds up to basically they're listening to an average of 9 episodes per week. 8 and 10 are listening to all or most of every episode. 80% binge listen, which means they listen to 2, and you're on average of 6.5 hours per week. One of the things that we're finding out with podcast, the skip rate compared to other advertising, whether it be radio, television, streaming TV, is very low. People are very loyal, and they'll listen to this on an ongoing basis. Here's a little bit of the facts about podcast advertising. It drives results. 60% of the people who listen to podcasts, half of the U.S. that does it, says that they have bought something from a podcast ad. 77% of podcast advertising exposure to a new product or service, the consumer says. 81% say they pay attention to podcast ads more than any other medium. And 99% of U.S. marketers, which we're seeing right now with our interface with both agencies and clients, are finding effective results from podcasting. So here's a little bit of the total audience approach to where we look at audio. Obviously, we have broadcast at the top of that. Remember that marketing funnel. How do I reach the most amount of people? That's broadcast. So we have 976 million people. The next closest, I think, is CBS television and radio, which reaches 155 million. In a monthly podcast download and streaming, we're at 167 million. The next one there, NPR, is interesting on their stream. They're #2, but again, that's not a commercial podcast. And then it drops down to the Daily Wire and Fox News. And then monthly enabled digital reach, we're ending up with 69 million. So this whole audio landscape, and think about your own lifestyle. I'm listening to audio now on this. I'm listening on my smart speaker at home. I'm listening in my car, and I hop in with traditional broadcast. The audio space has changed radically. The big difference that we'll get into with the audio space, just like social, just like digital, now we can track secondary actions because I know who you are. I know what you do. I know what you buy. I know where you go. And audio has those same analytics and attribution models that you would see in any of the historic social media spaces. So here's where you find the audience across the audio platform. Again, the big circle is broadcast, coming down into smart audio, targetable, and then podcast tangible audiences. But again, all of this now is measurable. So we can also end up with targeting, which is, we've always been able to know ratings based upon a certain geography, a metro, a DMA. What is their, adults 25-54, I want women, I want men. Now targetability becomes down to where's the geography by zip code, okay? What device do I want to send through? What language? Spanish language. Do we want to target Spanish language people in the state of Michigan who are looking at home improvements? How do I reach them? Targeted audio. Behavior and intent. We can have enthusiasts. Podcast is very segmented. So we have a podcast network called the Meat Eaters Network. It targets hunters. So we go with people like ScentLock or people who are selling bows, and they just want to sell to people who like to wear camo and go out there on November 15th and shoot a deer. We can do that too. So most importantly, which we really enjoy doing, is psychographic networks. We have 19 of those networks. That's off of first person data that we've collected through our iHeart app, interpolated onto it, and now we're their lifestyle genre, combine that with a geographic segment, and you can get a very effective campaign. We also put our brands with conversations. Some of these people that are iHeart personalities, you may recognize that Ryan Seacrest guy. He never ages. We've got, we also end up with Dan Patrick, Colin Cowherd, Bobby Bones. But where we're really finding influencers working is on a local level. That's our personalities talking about products in the audio space, which we know that 60%, 66% of listeners consider or purchase products recommended by a personality. So if Justin Barkley on Wood Radio says something, we get a great response out of it. 80% trust podcast and radio, 52% brand consideration lift. And then I'm going to go through very quickly, pass it on. We only have so many minutes. 5 quick points to keep in mind. Number 1, radio is the last thing that people listen to prior to making a purchase. So if I'm getting in my car and I'm going into a store, what do I hear? I'm in my car, I hear the radio. Broadcast radio is great before a shopper happens. One of the things that we found, especially with the measurability, is that you can end up with creative production for about 1/10 the time and 1/20th of the cost. I mean, I can very quickly, especially with AI today, I can make for you in probably about 5 minutes, 7 different ideas on ads. I can have the different voices with it, different background music, and provide that to you. And then the greatest thing, we pick the 2 best ones, we set them out there in the audio space. Since I have the analytics, I can say, hey, A works better than B. Let's use B. We're getting twice the response on my website off of that one. And that, to me, is really a great change in the audio space. Number 3, efficiency is everything. We like to add, listen, nobody here says just buy radio. I wouldn't say that. Don't just buy TV. Just don't buy one thing. What we're finding, though, that broadcast radio does end up enhancing television buys. It also enhances what you'll get. iHeart broadcast added to a digital-only campaign, for example. We'll see if I take 100,000 impressions and I move 50,000 impressions over to broadcast radio, I'll end up with a 60% growth on my return on it. Same thing that you're finding, just taking 10%. You know, linear TV works very well. I think Diane will say that. But taking a small portion of that, you can enhance that on your reach by ending up by taking a small portion of it. And we've seen 47% increase in reach with television by adding that little bit of money. Number 4, ad-enabled audio makes other media work harder. This is an amazing statistic that we found. Bundling audio with other media will increase your social performance radically, 83%. Increased TV ad recall, we've seen 35% increase. And then just straight Google, which most of us have out there in Google search, where we're either doing pay-per-click or search, we'll end up with a 29% increase in search by adding broadcast audio onto it. So we mentioned the fact that everything is measurable, whether it be store traffic through Foursquare, which is geo-targeted, whether it be outside AI, which ends up saying, hey, I've ended up coming to your website. Even within that website, did I purchase? What's my conversion rate? But the great news in the audio space today, just like you're used to in digital, social, and search, everything can be measured. So that is it. Let's talk. Just very quickly, you'll get a list of all the stations that iHeart has just here in West Michigan, along with the 850 across the United States. And I talked as fast as I could, and now we can move this right on here. There we go.
All right.
I can't follow.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Let's move on to Aaron, who's going to talk to us about digital advertising.
Yes, drink through the fire hose, right?
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm with Townsquare Media. We have radio as well. We have 5 stations. Our biggest podcast is Free Beer and Hot Wings. So I can go on about radio, but we're going to keep that in that lane. I'm going to talk to you about digital advertising. It's a beast, right? We all see it every single day. When I say digital advertising, it is what you see on your Facebook if you see ads. It's what you see on websites if you go to a website. It's what you see on ESPN. It's anything that you see. The biggest point of digital advertising is making sure that your KPIs, which are your key performance indicators, Okay, I'm going to first back it up a second. There is a lot of acronyms here in the media. So I feel like I should have a little glossary. But KPIs, I don't know if any of you guys have ever done digital marketing or looking into that. But there is a lot that goes into it. But the whole point is making sure that you have great product placement, that it's not placed with somebody else, and your KPIs are measured correctly. KPIs, key performance indicator. If you want sales, if you want form fills, if you want appointments scheduled, we have to make sure that that creative says that to our people. All of us handle the creative as well, and all of our station, I believe, right? I don't know. Speaking for myself, every creative, data insights, everything comes along with partnering with a media company. I think we all do that, right? Yeah. So it is, I'm going to keep saying it's like drinking through a fire hose. So back on the reporting and campaign, can we start that first slide?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
There you
Yeah, the one that capabilities. Oh yeah, sorry.
go. You got
I only have one hand.
the-
Thanks for noticing. Yeah, I know, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the key to advertising is successful. We'll start here. Successful advertising about delivering the right message to the right audience at the right time. So everyone knows, hey, who do you want to go after? I want to go after everyone. Well, let's trim that fat because I think everyone can help everyone, right? It takes a village nowadays. But I want to trim the fat, and that's a whole purpose of digital advertising. Digital advertising can be from anything from running a Facebook campaign to a LinkedIn campaign to an email campaign to a website build. We handle all of that from website builds up to anything and everything, nationally and locally. Uh-huh. What'd you do to this? Did you break it? Okay. So yes, everything that we do is measurable, and the whole purpose of doing digital partnership is making sure that what we show you and tell you that we see from being either the clicks or the form fills, whatever need to be, matches your analytics as well. So this is a huge story. It's not just one part of me saying, oh yeah, I brought you 10 form fills this month. What are you seeing beyond that? Are these form fills capable of spending what you need to spend? Are we going after the right person? I can tell you everything that we have on our dashboard, but it does not help me unless I know your back end and where your traffic is coming from. It is a true partnership. I cannot do this by myself. I work for you. Well, I really work for Townsquare, but I work for you and I make sure that everything is correct. So within that, we go into reporting and campaign support. There is a lot to learn. I'm not going to try to tell you all right now, but there is the biggest thing that we hold accountable for. I do. I should say, is the cost per thousand. How much does it reach? How much does it cost you to reach 1,000 people? That's how I see accountable. And what that means is if you're going to spend $42 on an ad, right? You want to make sure that it's reaching the people that you need it to reach. So you can start with a digital campaign for $1. You can start a digital campaign at $42. It's just being specific to knowing you guys know your business. We know the media, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to fast forward it. No. Okay. Huge thing about digital, right? Security. Everyone's worried. Hey, is my ad going to go up next to, well, political ads are whatever. I'm not talking about that. Is it going to go against, yeah, I know.
They'll end eventually.
Yeah, yeah, too soon, I know.
7 days.
Yeah, no one's counting. So like if you are like a cannabis shop or, pornography, anything that doesn't suffice to your business, we would put in negative things that we don't want people coming in. So if you have a competition that you're like, I don't want even be, whatever. If you have a competition that has a bad rap out there, we can kind of skew those people. There's a lot to happen. There is a lot to happen on the digital end. But the security scorecard, this is huge. I want to talk about this because this is when people, a lot of customers or clients try to do their own digital platforms or digital work themselves, it can be done. I mean, anyone can place any ads, anyone can do any of this. but there is a science behind it, and you want to make sure it's getting correctly instead of just wasting dollars. It's an investment. So you can see this is my favorite slide, because when you are placed, so this is the 92, we're at 92% for our security scorecard. What that means, and we're going to be, our goal is 100% at the end of the year. But what this means is that we are brand safe. We have the endpoint security. We have the IP reputation. Reputation just means from people coming in and giving us a whole bunch of content and making sure that we are scrubbing that and making sure that, hey, we don't want, I'm going to say politics. We don't want a political ad on this, but we're going to. But you can, that's how we can monitor that. The qubit score, I know, right? The hacker chatter, obviously it's all about hacking. But I know a lot of customers that try to do digital and they end up breaking legalities, from texting to sending emails out to people that are not opt-in. I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to have to spend extra dollars to get out of what you just did. So I think that's where we come in helping as well. We have the same exact data. We get a lot of data from Nielsen, Experian, all these, when you opt in or when you take control and you're like, hey, yeah, I'll do that, it signs you into everything. That's how we all know. If you're really to read that fine print, which I don't know if anyone has ever really read all the fine print all the way through. I know I haven't. But it just gives us all rights to get that information from you. We follow you. Digital back in the day, because I've been in it for a while, we used to show, and we still do it, but not to the extent. We used to follow the initiatives or the characteristics that we see. Like, okay, I'm gonna pick on Diane because I know her. Diane, she likes cooking, but little do we know, Diane really likes working on cars. I know she doesn't fit that demographic, but her information that she's showing on her phone, she does like working on cars. So that's how like much information we get from just one thing, from you guys doing one thing. Townsquare Media is a digital first company. Then we picked up radio. What that means, digital first company, is that when you're speaking to someone, that's how I explain it to clients. When you're speaking to someone, you're speaking one-on-one with them and you're finding out what they like, correct? Instead of the third-party data saying, okay, I'm assuming Diane likes cooking. You know, she's going to tell me she likes cooking and she's going to tell me she likes auto shops. So that's how we get our first-party data. We get our first-party data from all of our radio stations have websites. They opt in, we give free tickets, we give away all that stuff. So people are giving us their information, giving us their hobbies, giving us their information that we can now serve ads to, right? So I just wanted to touch base on this. This is huge. Yeah, if anything, you want to make sure everything you do is legally. We all have legal teams on our side, obviously. We go through things, we can work on that aspect, making sure that we can really speak about that. Next slide. So this is our capabilities. Townsquare in a whole, we have 320 stations, 367 stations now. We can handle everything. Here, drink through the fire hose right now. You want to be in every single one? Well, I don't think you need to be. So this is our jobs to make sure, hey, I'm going after roofers that were just, I think that everyone uses this, roofers that's just had the hailstorm, you know, the hail that just came through. And it's a 2-year, right? You can do 2 years for a claim. Thank you. You can do 2 years for a claim. So we can start serving those ads until they finally reach, either a scheduled appointment or the sales. Obviously, you want the sales, but we can show that. Like that's how much information or intel you get on the back end and from digital advertising. You can target all the way down from 18 years old to 80 years old. Each program or each social media, each cross platform, each local brands, everyone has a target. Okay, so we all know like Snapchat, that's for younger kids. Do you really want to be on Snapchat? Do they really have the income? I mean, yeah, yep, sorry, okay. And then Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So this is all customizable. What we do, we meet and then we say, hey, these are my people that I'm going for. This is my specific zip code or my specific demo or my specific county, and we run with that. And we want to make sure that the frequency is there because frequency is key. And when I speak frequency, it's how many times we're seeing it. It used to be 7 or 8 times, and I think it's 12 to 14 times before we react now. So there you go. Thanks, guys, for your time.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so we're gonna move on to Kellen now from Fox 17, who's gonna talk about TV advertising.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kellen Egan. I'm with Fox 17. I am going on 10 years at the station, and so I'm going to talk to you about broadcast TV advertising and what it is, why you should be using it, and how to use it effectively. So broadcast television, think of the stations that you used to watch as a kid that you got for free with an antenna over the air. So we are given airwaves through the FCC so that we can inform the communities that we serve. So everything is free on broadcast TV. With different creative, you can fit each funnel of each segment of the sales funnel, but I really believe that broadcast TV is going to be where you're getting that awareness portion of the sales funnel. This is where you can create a brand with the people in West Michigan. So if I say save big money with, you all know I'm talking about Menards. I can rattle off 800-588-2300, the Empire Carpet commercial, because for years they have ingrained their brand through broadcast TV in my head. I don't even remember the last time I saw an Empire Carpet commercial, but it's still in there. I can sing the 90s Mentos song word for word. So that is the power of broadcast TV. For time, we don't need to go through all of these, but I do want to piggyback on what Aaron said. In your local businesses, you should be looking at your impressions and your thousands and the cost to reach 1,000 viewers. It's going to help you even the playing field so that you're comparing apples to apples to apples to apples. Apples with your TV, with your radio, with your digital, with your OTT. And it's going to help you see how effective your campaigns are at a cost per 1,000 basis. So why should you use broadcast TV advertising? Because we have mass reach. TV is going to reach the most consumers daily than any other platform. And why? Because you can get a Fox station, you can get an NBC station over the air with an antenna. You're going to get our same feed, the same programming, the same commercials that we're selling through cable, and even with streaming. So we are, my family is a YouTube TV family. We've cut the cable, but we're still getting that same feed that you can get over the air. So because we are wherever anyone wants to watch our programming, you have that mass reach. And because you have that mass reach, the cost per 1,000 tends to be lower than other media. We can target. So a lot of people, digital is great because you can say, I want to be in front of this person, this person, this person. We can target, which I'll go into how I put a campaign together. But TV also creates credibility and trust, higher brand recall. But what I think differentiates broadcast TV from any other medium is the emotional impact that a video commercial can provide to your brand and the consumers that are watching it. There is a reason that if anyone has turned on the TV in the last 4 months, you see one candidate talking about how they're God's gift to earth, they're shaking hands, they're kissing babies. They're trying to get that emotional pull for you to vote for them at the poll, as well as on the flip side, getting you to hate the other candidates, say they are not fit for office. That there's a reason why 85% of political advertising is done on broadcast TV, because it directly affects the polls. We actually had a local candidate who came in for an interview at the station, and they do polling before, polling mid campaigns, polling after campaigns, and their polling increases directly with the amount of money that they spend on broadcast TV. So that is the power of broadcast for your businesses. So here's some statistics. I don't need to read them all to you, but even with how segmented we are with radio, with digital, with streaming, broadcast still reaches 85 to 90% of adults every day, and they're watching a long time, 3.5 hours of live television a day. TV drives higher ad recall, has a great ROI because of that mass reach and that cost per 1,000. TV will drive people to your website, especially if you are mixing TV with SEM, with your Google AdWords. broadcast TV will drive traffic through that. And then 74% of people are more likely to trust brands that advertise on TV. And why is that? I'm watching a football game on Sunday. I see a local advertiser in the Lions game, and I think, wow, they've made it. They can afford a spot in the Lions. And so consumers are more likely to trust the brands and then call the brands that they trust. So how should you use broadcast to grow your business? Number one, creative is key. We can put the best campaign together for you. You can spend millions to be in the Super Bowl, but if it's not a good spot, if it doesn't use that sight, sound, motion, and emotion to connect your brand with your future customer, it's not going to work. So number one, make sure you have a good spot. There are plenty of people in West Michigan, as well as the local broadcast TV stations, that can make a good spot for you. Second, this is kind of the nuts and bolts on how I put a campaign together. So you can use research. Every time I go and I meet with a client, I talk to them, what are their key performance indicators? Who are they trying to reach? Then I go back and I say, for instance, my client's customer is a woman with children in the household. So I can plug that in and I can say, where are women with children in the household watching my station, so that I can put your brand message in front of the right people. I use indexes a lot. And if you don't know what an index is, it's, the baseline is 100. So if everything was equal, it would be at 100. Anything over 100, they're more likely to be your customer. Anything less than 100, they're less likely to be. So I can maybe pull, I'm just throwing numbers out there. I can maybe say our 6 a.m. newscast does 135 index with women with children in the household. That means if you were to advertise in the 6 a.m. newscast, you are 35% more likely to reach women with children in the household. But wait, there's more. All those other people that are tuning in at 6 a.m. as well, that are maybe your second, third demo, that are on the periphery. So we can use research. And then that goes into frequency, not frequently. So then I'm going to say, we're going to have a budget conversation. We're going to have an ROI conversation. And I'm going to say, let's dominate those, let's, for instance, newscasts or programming that does really well with your consumer, and make sure that we are hitting them over and over and over with frequency. The more frequent they're going to see your ad, the more brand recall you're going to have. So instead of just put $50 spot, or $50 spots a week and let it run from 5 a.m. to midnight, let's hope that's a spray and pray decision. I would rather you take the information that we have and really just dominate those 2 or 3 day parts and create a brand with them, and then grow your brand to other day parts later on. And that goes into properly funding your campaign. If you work with really any of us, we are going to have an ROI conversation with you. Your reps should be asking questions on what makes you money. So, but with a branding campaign specifically, it's going to take 3 months to hit that ROI. And that's just the beginning. Everything else is going to grow exponential from there. But you want to properly fund that campaign from the beginning. So if it's underfunded, you're not stretching that out and thinking, oh, I've got a call here, I've got a call there. And you're going to think TV doesn't work. Properly fund the campaign based on your conversations with your reps and the ROI. And then, so speaking of ROI, how much does it cost? That's what every time someone calls in, how much does it cost? It depends. It depends on how many eyeballs are in a particular programming. So, the number 1 news in the market is going to be more expensive than the number 5 newscast in the market. But that number 5 newscast is going to have to price themselves competitively to, at a cost per thousand basis, compete with that business. So it may be, are you trying to reach a lot of people? Maybe you need to be in the number 1. Are you trying to have more frequency? Maybe you need to be in those lower rated newscasts. The other thing is demand. So I go back to the Lions. They're hot. everyone wants to be in the Lions game. And guess what? We have 12 commercials that we can sell. So those 12 commercials are going to go to the people that pay the most. And, Lions are hot right now. We're getting so much more money now than we were 6 years ago. So demand also has something to do with it. And then, work with your reps. There are some weeks in the month and some months in the year that are lower demand. And work with your reps. Maybe that makes more sense to take advantage of those lower demand weeks and months so that you don't have to pay as much. And then, like everything, broadcast is scalable. So the more money you put in, the more money you're going to get out of it. But my big takeaway, I think, with all of us is we want you to win. So if you win, if your company is making money, we're going to win. You're going to keep investing in your campaign. You're going to tell your other business owner friends, hey, I worked with so-and-so at XYZ station. They helped me grow my business. And if you're investing more into your campaign, you're sending me more clients to work with. I'm able to put another year of soccer for my kid. So we want you to win. But the thing is, we can't help you win if you don't take the meeting with us. So my biggest kind of pet peeve is, hey, send me a package. Packages are not going to grow your business because even if I'm working with a similar business category, you may have different wants, needs, KPIs. So let's sit down, take the meeting. I know it's annoying to meet with all of these reps, but take that 30 minutes if you have it, take an hour and if you have it, ask them questions. They should be definitely asking you questions on how we can make you money. That's my biggest takeaway from this. And then I have ancillary slides. We don't need to go over with them. We have success stories and just kind of data on broadcast TV viewership compared to other models. But I can pass the baton now to you. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kellen.
Thank
And
you.
I will just let you know, I deal with our reps for the Better Business Bureau is the one who does advertising here at the Better Business Bureau. None of them bite. Okay, you're gonna be okay. None of them bite. So we'll now hand it off to Diane with Wood TV8.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of information so far. Wow, right? There's just a lot. Don't mean to blow your minds or anything, but the point is to give you an overview of what media can do for you. And gosh, we're here to answer questions and help you grow your business by talking to us. So I know it's a lot. So I'm talking about lifestyle TV. So there's spot TV that Kellen was chatting about, and that's 30-second spots, 60-second spots, 15-second spots, the commercial, the production that goes with that. I'm moving into lifestyle TV, we call it. So has anybody heard of 8 West? Has anybody? Okay, good, a little bit. Yeah, Tim, I did not see your hand go up there. Thank you. Yeah. So basically, the station put on 8 West about 15 years ago. Okay, we're actually celebrating our 15th year anniversary in October here this week. So the hosts of the show are Rachel Ruiz and Tom Hillen. We also have a contributing host who is Alicia Alonso, who took Jordan Carson's place, if anybody thought and heard of Jordan Carson. She actually is in charge of Live Local, Give Local, our community end of that. But anyway, the 8 West show is on every day on Wood TV from 11 a.m. to noon. Okay, it's a 1-hour show, Monday through Friday. It also airs on our ABC affiliate, which is Channel 4 in the market from 3 to 4. And then it also airs on our CW. We picked up the CW about a year ago from 5 to 6 p.m. So our station group actually consists of 4 television stations. So we have our NBC affiliate Wood on Channel 8 that most everybody is familiar with. And then Channel 4, our ABC affiliate, the CW. And then we have a 4th station, WXSP, which is my network and has our 10 o'clock news on it if you ever watch that. Yeah. So anyway, 1-hour show. It is for sale. People come on the show. There's a cost to it. We call it a pay-per-view show. Okay. And basically it can be over any topic. So whether you're a heating and cooling person, a dental office, a high-end retailer. It really doesn't matter. You have a story to tell. So it's more in line of the storytelling using video advertising versus just the spot. You need the spots because you need the frequency, but this is, we call a long form type approach. So you're sitting and you're talking to one of the talents that are on the show. We basically start out by giving them 3 takeaways of points that you want to get across. Let's say you're having an anniversary sale. Let's say whatever the benefit is to the viewer, come in and take advantage of that, what your business does, that kind of thing. So it gives you really about 5 minutes worth of content on television with a talent on the television station, which automatically gives you integrity to your business, right? We air it, we post the story on woodtv.com. It actually, we give you the link so you can actually embed the link on your websites. So you can have that, Google loves fresh content, right? We all know that. It actually comes up in searches. If you're searching a topic, dentistry, and you were on talking about it, it'll come up on searches. We also post it on our social media, on 8 West social media, on woodtv.com, and then you can share it from there as well. So it kind of lives on. So you get 3 airings in one day, and then it's online, and then it's on social. So it's a good add-on to any media mix because you are combining, the sight and sound, as Kellen was chatting about, but also the long form. So you have time to tell your story, and it's all about video stories nowadays. We know that. Reels, I mean, people love reels, right? So that's about the show. Talking about demographics, we have stats on who tunes in to the show, what the demo is. It's kind of interesting because the split there, 49% women and 51% men, you would think it's just a female show, kind of. But it's not. I mean, it's, men like it. I mean, a lot of pretty women on that show. That's all good. But, it's the content, because the content's different. You can go from somebody who owns an automotive, business and talk about tune-ups to, a doctor at Corewell that just, performed a surgery that he's chatting about. So there, if you don't like one segment, there's usually about 7 segments a day in the show. So if you don't, have any interest in one, after 5 minutes, there might be something that you do. So anyway, a lot of the messaging that we've been talking about here today is about, results and targeting and who are you reaching and that kind of thing. And a lifestyle show is no different. We have that as well. All right. Our reach is, I think we're kind of a lot of the same, but we cover all of West Michigan. Our station group does. And that consists of, we refer to it as a DMA, designated marketing area is what that stands for. So if you're, for broadcast TV, if you're a, cleaning company and you only really reach a couple zip codes within the West Michigan market, probably broadcast television is not your best buy, right? Because you're going to be reaching Kalamazoo County and other counties within that. So if you're a smaller business and you really just target, a smaller area, a couple zip codes or whatever, then that's probably not the best. What would be better for you is really digital advertising, because then you can really focus in by zip code, by city, okay, which all of us sell digital advertising, right? We are a full service digital provider, just like everybody else, but our owner's name is Nexstar Media. Nexstar Media is, I think, the largest media company in the country. And really the only reason why I say that and what that means to you is because it provides a lot of services. We have a lot of services and things that we can offer that you don't pay extra for. It just, it's extra value. So. All right, that is lifestyle. I am actually going to move on now to, has anybody heard of OTT? Yeah, okay. And you kind of like go, okay, really, what is that? It's quite confusing. So the umbrella statement for OTT is really streaming TV. Streaming TV. I mean, we all stream, we all get, our video in different ways. Certainly the television industry has embraced that and understood that not everybody wants to watch appointment TV, and you want to be able to get what you want to get in the small time that you have to watch it, right? So streaming TV. And what that really is referring to is long format, full episodic, meaning you'll watch a show kind of thing, usually 30 plus minutes, and you have to have an internet connection to see it. Okay, so that is just streaming TV overall. So now OTT, or over the top TV, which is what that stands for, is one of the streamings. Okay, that's one of the ways you can stream. It's still long form, 30 minutes plus. It still needs an internet connection, but you now can watch it on television, not just TV, but also desktop, tablet, and mobile. Okay, so it's kind of just part of what the overall streaming is. We hear these phrases and these words, and they're all kind of interchangeable, and it's kind of like, well, really, what does it mean? So I'm hoping that this will just simplify it a little bit. Then you've heard of probably CTV or connected TV, okay? And the only differentiation here is that now you are only watching it on a television set. Okay, it's not on desktop, it's not on your mobile devices kind of thing. So that's kind of the differences. But we all know streaming is a great way to reach, a consumer, right? So it definitely is something you want to consider in your media mix. Lots of things to consider, right? And, to Kellen's point, you want to sit down and talk to a rep. I mean, somebody that is they're the expert in doing that instead of just throwing a dart, at a dartboard. You want to make your money work for you. So hopefully we could, have the opportunity to provide that opportunity for you. Okay, and then pre-roll is another video option, okay? And you can buy pre-roll on the open web, which is, any kind of targeting that you want to use. You want to reach a homeowner that, has, children in it that are school-aged, or whatever the demo is, whatever your business is targeting, okay? We can do all of that. And on the open web. Okay, so this is, again, pre-roll. It goes and plays before whatever show you are interested in seeing. That's why they call it pre-roll. So it's like a commercial message that will play before. Okay, makes sense? And then it's on TV, desktop, tablet, mobile. Then we have pre-roll just on woodtv.com. So again, you can target all of this. You can target with woodtv.com. It's going to cover the 14 county area with pre-roll. Over the web, you can be buying Florida if you wanted to. You can buy it anywhere you want to, but you can only, if you want to only buy a zip code, you can buy a zip code as well. So, and again, available on any device. So, including TV. So that's pre-roll. For Wood TV, we have woodtv.com, which you can get on your phone, or you can get on your desktop or whatever. We also have a news app, and we also have a weather app. So I don't know if you guys are using it, but download it if you're not, because it's very helpful. And I think that's it. Yay.
We're happy to take any questions. If you are watching online, you can put it into the Q&A, and we will do it that way. Just one thing that kind of Tim brought up, and a couple of you spoke on, and I'll start with the question. You talk about frequency. And I think for anybody who hasn't advertised, there's a thought of, okay, let's give it a try. Well, give it a try. Let's do this for a week and see if it worked. That's not gonna work. So what is the recommendation for, if I'm going to give it a try, what is that period of time that I as a business should be looking at to give it a try?
So this has totally changed over the last couple of years. And the difference today is, historically, we would say, okay, reach times frequency, I'll give you too much. You've got much in your head. I'll
Right.
put more in your head. Reach times frequency equals GRP. So if I say to you the same thing 100 times, that's 100 GRPs. Or if I reach 100 people once, that's still 100 GRPs. So there's different things you would end up with gross rating points and end up delivering. In today's world, we like to do what we say is test and learn. So if I'm going to make an investment, we'll come up to you up front and say, and it differs depending upon the geography. The larger the geography, if it's a nationwide campaign, it's much more expensive than Kent County only or zip codes. And then within that, we're going to test not only the medium, but we're going to also test the message. And so from that, we're now optimizing what the campaign can do to get the greatest ROI. All we need to know from you is, who do you want to reach? What do you want them to do? And how are we going to measure it? Once we know those three things, we can build out a program, but there's not any more where I say, set it and forget it. We're going to do an annual campaign of buying B93 morning drive only for 52 weeks for $120,000. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Those days are gone. It's now where we're partnering, as we said, ending up establishing what your KPIs are, but knowing that copy can do better, aspect as far as what type of media can work better. And so I really think that's the answer, which is so much better. And we've all talked about it. Sit down and we'll test and learn. What's your budget? Is it 10,000, 15,000? Okay, who are we trying to reach? What do we want them to do? How are we going to measure it? And we're going to recommend not only this, OTT and podcast. Then between that, we're going to find out if display is working better, social's working better. And so I think all of us operate in the same way, which is vastly different than certainly 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
And I would say certainly, you know, everybody is different, but from a timing standpoint, are we looking at do something over a month? Are we looking something over 3 months? And I know Erin and I have had these conversations for the Better Business Group, so I know she's got some answers.
I do.
But you know, I think a lot of people want to be cautious about what they spend, and nobody's got unlimited funds. So what is kind of that sweet spot for starting in general?
So that it's all based on what your needs are. If you are looking at a branding campaign, which I think you spoke about, if it's a branding campaign, just getting your name out there, it's going to take a while. It's going to take 8 months, 9 months. It's organically coming to you. If there is a complete call to action, if you're a retail shop, or if you know, hey, I know chimney sweep, and I sell sweep, so I don't know if chimney or I don't know see sweep. Hey, we know the season is in March. We're giving $300 off for your chimney sweep. It just depends on that creative. So then you would only run it, 2 weeks before, the week of, and then, the residual. There's a lot of residual that happens after marketing as well, or advertising, different. But it is, we handle the marketing, we handle the advertising, everything that we do. We just want to make sure whatever you do is consistent with your brand, with your mission, and making sure that the creative or the call to action or whatever you're serving to the community is the same, and we're not changing anything else out to the community. Like if you're saying you have a 300, but next month it's only 100, like that's not good. And you put yourself as a consumer. That's all we do. We put ourselves as a consumer. We should have the data that you guys probably don't have. It's a lot of money to get this data. So that's our job, is just to place your product specifically where it needs to be, the lowest cost per thousand, try to be, but we want to make sure the retention and the engagement is up there. There's a lot of things that goes on. I mean, anyone could do marketing, anyone could do advertising, but little do they know, advertising does take a science. So yeah, back to your point, it all depends on what you're trying to do.
Any questions in the audience or online? Okay.
Rachel Sutton has asked, do you have any pricing or spec sheets for what you've spoken about today?
I'm going to piggyback on that. I'll answer for, thanks. I have a big voice. I'll answer for myself. We do have spec sheets. Everything is customizable and everything runs fluid. I call it trimming the fat. Okay. Digital trims the fat. And by what I mean, broadcast TV, we need it. It's your net, right? It's your net of how to reach these people. Well, then your conversion is digital. How are they coming in? Are they form filling? Are they calling? Are they scheduling appointments? What is your business that makes people, what drives your business to make people buy? That's what we need to tell the community, and that's our job, is make sure that that product is placed. So I do have specs. It depends on pricing, whatever they want. Do we have minimums? We have maximums. It just depends. It's like going to a doctor and saying, "Oh, my head hurts."
We don't have maximums.
Scratch that.
There's from what I have learned from all of you that I've worked with, is that pricing really depends on what you're looking for and what program you and them put together that works for you. So the pricing that I may have for my platform might be very different than the one that you get, because you're looking for something different. You might be advertising at different times in different ways, with different promotions going on, because that's the other element of this that they don't talk about right now, but there are different promotions that come out, different times of the year, different things cost differently. So there's lots of things to discuss and ways to make it different.
So really the best takeaway for the person online is to contact one of us, whatever their interests are, just to contact us. We'll talk with them and we'll put together a pricing sheet for them and, work with them that way.
I think one question that came up in my mind, and it's important from a Better Business Bureau standpoint, because the last thing we want is any of you businesses to get in trouble because you do something wrong. And it came up with the text messages and the laws around reaching out to consumers that have not opted in to receiving your messaging. You can get in a lot of trouble for doing that. So if one of you would talk about, if I want to do a text message campaign, because you can do that, they can help you send text messages to potential customers. Where, you've got data that can do that. You've got lists of people who have opted into campaigns, right?
We do. Townsquare does not do texting currently.
Okay.
There is a lot of legalities that happen to that. We have to make sure they opted in. If they are on your CRM, your customer relationship management platform, whatever you use, Excel to any Word doc, you can serve that, but you have to make sure that you have it in writing that it's okay to serve them a text. Everything has to be okayed by your end consumer. And that's where we come in. We want to make sure that what we're sending out is legal, first of all. Is it product placed correctly? And if, just totally forgot where I was going. And if, product placement, it's security.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is legal,
Yeah.
period.
All right. Any other questions right now? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We do appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We will share out their contact information and you can reach out to them directly to learn more about the options available and how it might work best for your business. Thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.